Look at this.
So much room to talk about niche rubbish. Good evening.
Fresh cuts. Don't know if you've noticed.
Yeah, let's take a second to check those out. Give us a twirl.
I just said do something at the back.
And I look fantastic.
Proud to be a proud boy.
Good morning and welcome to the National Vintage League emergency broadcast.
Number
12.
correct.
There are three things that are certain in this life, Christopher. Death, taxes, and the San Diego Chargers death curse.
Today we're going to be talking about death and curses and death curses.
CURSE A PALOOZA. That's the name of the episode.
Okay.
Welcome to CURSE A PALOOZA. The 1994 San Diego Chargers were not expected to go to the Super Bowl by any stretch of the imagination. They were
The Cinderella team of that season. No one was picking them, as you said. They were losing at the halftime in every single one of their playoff games.
and they came from behind to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC Championship game. And when they returned to San Diego, so loved was the team, 70,000 people turned up at the stadium to say, well done, lads. We never expected you to do it, but you did. Now, on to Joe Robbie Stadium and Super Bowl XXXIX.
The most people that have ever been in San Diego Chargers Stadium at one time.
Still a record to this day. It's 1994. The San Diego Chargers have left their 70,000 fans in San Diego and they're heading to Miami, Joe Robbie Stadium. And who's waiting for them? Steve Young and the San Francisco 49ers. As we know, the Chargers don't win. But the people of San Diego love this team, led by Junior Seau, a Greek god from Southern California.
Not Greek. He wasn't Greek.
It wasn't Greek, but you know.
Junior Seopoulos. They were running up everyone's gut with Natron means business.
Natron means business. He just means business. Schottenheimer says,
Unfortunately, as he mentioned, they lost to one of the greatest quarterback performances in Super Bowl history, Steve Young, with a 138 quarterback rating.
But they were never going to beat the San Francisco 49ers. The Chargers, the point we want to make is the Chargers were just happy to be at the dance. They beat the Steelers somehow coming from behind.
Hold up, wait a minute.
The Chargers were just happy to be there.
They had a bit of confidence that they might go back to the Super Bowl. However, that was tragically not going to be the case, because less than 5 months after the return to San Diego, tragedy struck.
53-man roster.
I think a total of 8 people died.
8 deaths from a 53-man roster.
There is a 1% chance of that happening.
David Griggs, number 1, 5 months after the Super Bowl, driving in his Lexus, skidded off a South Florida expressway ramp and into a pole, a short drive away from where the Chargers had played in the Super Bowl.
I think the location's quite cursey there. That's
Number
cursey.
2.
Next on 7 News, 1st and 10, a jet leaves Miami International Airport. Moments later, it crashes in the Florida Everglades.
Rodney Culver went on a cruise with his wife, Karen,
They perished alongside 108 other souls when their plane crashed into the Everglades.
and he was 26 years old. So a 28-year-old and a 26-year-old within 2 years of each other.
Yeah, that's pretty cursey.
Starting to get a little bit cursey now.
Also, in Florida.
1 skidded off the expressway, hit a pole. That's a fairly normal death. Plane crash, you wouldn't bet on it. Number 3 is when you go, okay, this team's snake bitten, this is insane. Doug Miller, he was struck by lightning
Wow.
twice.
Wow, bro.
Chance of getting struck by lightning once is 1 in 19 million.
Again, the exact same chance that the Chargers had of winning that Super Bowl.
He was struck by lightning. He was unconscious. His friend was giving him CPR when he was struck again by lightning.
Wow, bro, it's that's crazy, bro.
And he was the nicest dude. So he lockered next to Junior Seau. Seau wore 55, Miller wore 54, and he was a chiseled, bicep hunk man who was a super personable guy. After Super Bowl XXXIX, Miller refused to take his tracksuit off. He wore it everywhere. His friends took the piss out of him, but he was like, no, I'm so proud of this. The Chargers sent him to an elderly fan of the Chargers' birthday party. He went, stayed for hours, and then every single year after that, sent a birthday card to this
that's
guy.
very nice.
So if anyone you want to be struck by lightning twice, it's not this guy.
Considering all the teams in the NFL, you're really going to play for a team whose nickname is the Bolt and then get struck twice by lightning?
Okay, so we've had Lexus leaves the freeway in Florida. Plane comes out of the air in Florida. Man gets struck by lightning twice, once to take him onto the ground, and while he's having CPR, he gets struck again. What was he wearing? Sheet metal. Should have taken off his sheet metal tracksuit. Number 4, after the double strike by lightning, that's a bit bait. If you're a screenwriter, you're like, we're writing a curse, we've written the double lightning strike, let's have a bit of a break now because people are going to be like, this is too obvious. A break in the curse happens for 10 years. Curtis Whitley, 2008, center for the 94 Chargers, was found dead in Texas from a drug overdose. Number 5, Chris Mim, the 5th player on the 1994 San Diego Chargers losing Super Bowl team who was so beloved by their city. Chris Mims is dead, age 38 of an enlarged heart. 6 and 7, Sean Lee and Lou Bush, 2 defensive players, both died of heart attacks.
How long is this gonna go on?
Number 8, Junior Seau.
Seopoulos.
Played for the Chargers, an absolute stud in the middle of the field for the Chargers, played for the Dolphins and then played for the Patriots and then retired. He was found dead in 2012 from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to his chest. Didn't leave a suicide note, but he had scribbled down the lyrics to his favourite country song, Who I Ain't.
Yeah.
Which is like beautifully sad.
It describes a man who regrets the person that he's become and was actually co-written by Junior Seau's friend, Jamie Paulin.
Ah, so we've both been on Wikipedia then.
I know. Nature and Mean said, at some point you just get tired of getting text messages out of nowhere letting you know another one of your teammates has
been
died.
Struck by lightning.
Yeah. I don't know where we're going with this, other than this is tragically
It's incredibly sad. This team was special. Just a team that refused to die.
Hold on, bro. Let me play that back. What the fuck?
Refuse to die.
No one
Did you really just use the phrase refuse to die during the Super Bowl run? I think we'll cut it there.
1994 Chargers. What other curses have we got, Chris?
Madden.
The Madden curse is insane. Let's do the Madden curse.
Yeah.
Top 5 Madden curses. You've got Rob Gronkowski at number 5. After being named first team All-Pro in 2014 and 15, he was put on the cover and was sidelined the entire next season with hamstring and back injuries and a bruised lung. So the Madden curse isn't just you play badly the next season, it's an injury thing or legal troubles. Number 4, Michael Vick.
Oh, right, yes.
There he is in red on the cover, sprinting away. And then a few short months later, he was sprinting away from the police. Which is just, let me just say, that's insane. I know this, I'm just retreading over old ground here, but you have a dog fighting ring in your back garden. Are you kidding me? Number 3, Vince Young. He was named Defensive Rookie of the Year in 2006.
I'm in the big league now.
But had an epic sophomore slump, Kel Surprise. Young threw 9 touchdown passes and 17 interceptions.
That's insane.
Number 2, Sean Alexander.
Oh.
Alexander had posted consecutive 1,000-yard seasons and received league MVP in 2005. So what do? You stick him on the cover of Madden. And what does he do? He injures himself. And the Seahawks parted ways with him after 2007, and he was out of the league for good after a stint with the Washington Red Tails in 2008. Number 1, Peyton Hillis. He was never good. He just won a weird popularity contest against Mike Vick and Shane Leckler, weirdly. Peyton Hillis is so in our wheelhouse as an NFL historical icon who only got put where he was because it was funny, and then he was rubbish, and it was even more funny.
Well, did you hear that the Browns, apparently, their old logo was the elf logo, and they gave it up in 1969, and since then, have been shit.
Another curse.
Yeah.
Chalk it up on the board. You have the Arizona Cardinals, formerly Phoenix Cardinals, formerly St. Louis Cardinals, going all the way back to 1925. That's pre-World War II. A little bit of fancy knowledge there. I don't want to flex on anyone, but I know that 1925 is pre-World War II. Gas Lads, an ecstasy of fumbling. I did not think I'd be quoting Wilfred Owen on here, but there we go. We will remember them. Wilfred Owen was World War I, alongside GOAT wide receiver Siegfried Sassoon. Crazy thing about these, you never know what you're going to talk about. You could think you're talking about the San Diego Chargers death curse, and you end up talking about Siegfried Sassoon and Wilfred Owen. And the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah. I don't even know this one, though.
The 1925 Pottsville Maroons was stripped of their NFL title, and it was awarded to the Arizona Cardinals. The Pottsville Maroons thereby, and rightly so, cursed the Arizona Cardinals, who still have the longest championship drought of any NFL team. They last won it in 1947. The Pottsville Maroons curse is supposedly only going to be lifted when the title is returned to the Pottsville Maroons, who don't exist anymore, so they can't win the title, which means the Arizona Cardinals are perpetually cursed for the rest of time, and they will never win another Super Bowl.
That sounds like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode.
So Arizona famously lost to the Steelers on a toe drag in the Super Bowl, and are still yet to win a championship. You're cursed, Arizona.
Do you know about the Superdome curse?
Voodoo and ghost stories are just a few of the distinctive qualities of New Orleans.
Apparently the Superdome was built on a cemetery in Louisiana, and the Saints actually got in a shaman, voodoo doctor, witchman.
So New Orleans.
To do a exorcism, if you will, of the stadium. And what happened during the Super Bowl there?
Why is the clock stop?
All of the lights on the 49ers side of the Superdome are out.
The lights went out.
Lights went out.
Spooky. And the final curse that I've got is the Detroit Lions Bobby Lane curse. In 1958, the Detroit Lions traded Bobby Lane,
famous quarterback Bobby Lane, now leader of the Pittsburgh Steelers,
to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Lane responded to that trade, which is classic. All right, well, you're not going to win anything until I die.
Here is this raven's feather with a drop of blood.
So the next 50 years after the Bobby Lane trade, the Lions accumulated the worst winning percentage of any team in the NFL. They're still one of only 2 franchises that have been in the NFL since 1970 and have not played in a Super Bowl. The other one is the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, right, the Browns.
How did you get that? That's crazy. When the Pittsburgh Steelers, who Bobby Lane was traded for, won their 5th Super Bowl championship, 2006, where did they win it? Ford Field, home of the Detroit Lions. Bobby Lane laughing all the way to the bank. In the last year of the supposed curse, 2008, what was the Detroit Lions' record? 0-16.
Oh, so close.
They didn't win a single game. Bobby Lane, you absolute legend.
What about City of Buffalo? Can't go anywhere without mentioning poor old Buffalo. Some people say that Buffalo's losing streak is part of the Flutie curse. Obviously, they rode Doug Flutie all the way to the playoffs, then benched him for Rob Johnson, lost Music City Miracle, and haven't won since. However, some people would put it back to the 1901 assassination of President William McKinley. The NBA team left town, the NHL team lost the Stanley Cup on a bad call, Buffalo's greatest star, O.J. Simpson, was disgraced, Thurman Thomas lost his helmet and didn't start the Super Bowl, and the Bills lost 4 straight Super Bowls, one on, we all know, wide right, Scott Norwood.
And I've been saying it for years. O.J. Simpson killed his wife because someone killed the president.
He was acquitted. Just an innocent man going for a Sunday drive.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I haven't got any more curses.
Neither do I. There's only been about 15 curses in the history of the NFL. Well, if you know any curses, write them below, because I love curses. Just a quick shout out to Broderick Bunkley. For those of you who are here every week, Bunkley, Bunkley. So there you have it. Episode number 12 of the Emergency Broadcast. I want to say a quick shout out to you for watching this, because we love doing it and we wouldn't be here if you weren't sat behind your computer screen in the dark eating Doritos. Reminding you to kiss your best friend.
And don't be a dickhead. You just want to kiss me. I do
What
that.
do you
That'll
just
go super viral.
Oh, brilliant. All right, that's it. We've hit rock bottom.
Well, for fuck's sake, we're such idiots. Why don't we save the curse one for number 13?
Oh, yeah.
Nonsense.
We will remember them.